Morning.
Morning, Ron.
You know, when I arrived here in 2011, Stephanie and I were thrilled for the opportunity. So excited that we wanted to bring home some gear back to San Diego. But the team was coming off a 2-14 season, and you really couldn't find any gear. Interest team had been low. But now, you walk in a grocery store, you can find gear. You walk in a grocery store, you can see people wearing Luke Kuechly's or Christian McCaffrey's or Cam Newton jerseys. And I know I was part of that culture change. Winning is hard in the NFL and not to be taken lightly. I'm proud that I took over a 2-14 team and won back-to-back-to-back NFC division titles, South division titles. I want to reemphasize, I'm proud that I took over a 2-14 team and won back-to-back-to-back. See the emphasis? Won. 3 in a row. Okay? Whether you define it by wins or losses, or you define it by winning the division, to me, that's 3 years in a row of consecutive winning. Okay, so I want to make sure we're straight on that. I get tired of hearing, oh, well, they couldn't win 3 years in a row, 2 years in a row. No, we won 3 years in a row. So let's get that straight. And we were the first team in the NFC South to do it. So I'm pretty doggone proud of that. Okay. I'm proud to have been part of the 2015 NFC Championship team that represented the NFC in Super Bowl 50. And I'm proud to leave here the winningest Panthers head coach. Being a head coach is more than just the X's and O's. It's getting up in front of y'all, okay? And there's my Southern twang I've gained in 9 years. When there's controversy and adversity, and in 9 years I've had my share. I've been the spokesperson each and every time something needed to be addressed. I know I handled those things, those difficult times, with as much grace as I could, and a personal resolve to always do what is right and tell you guys the truth. I want to thank the players. Thank you to those guys for trusting in me. I've been blessed with many future Hall of Famers, as well as many men who took the opportunity in the league as a stepping stone in life. Being a head coach is more than disseminating 3-4 or 4-3 defenses. Being a head coach is about being a leader of men in good times and in bad. So your trust in me as your head coach has never wavered, and I thank you guys for that. Thank you for trusting me with your careers. I hope the advice I've given both on and off the field will have a lasting impact in their lives. To my coaches, thank you for making me a better coach. I always believe in surrounding myself with smarter, harder working people than myself so I can become smarter and harder working. It might not have shown on the field every Sunday, but in my heart we provided the players with the best breakdowns, game plans, and strategies to win in this league. I know this because we won a lot of football games together. So again, thanks to the coaches for their efforts over the years, and I'm extremely grateful. To the people that brought me here to Charlotte, I want to make sure I say thank you. Thank you to Rosalind and Jerry Richardson for giving me the trust in my first opportunity. General Manager Marty Herney for being there, helping me and guiding me along the way. Former team president Danny Morrison and Charlie Dayton for their constant counsel. General Manager Dave Gettleman, who helped put the final pieces together so that the 2013, 2014, and 2015 teams could win 3 consecutive divisions. To the Golden David Tepper for giving me the opportunity to compete. I appreciate those folks. I appreciate them very, very much. On a personal note, to Linda O'Hara, my secretary, she was more than a secretary, she really was. She was like an older sister who spoke freely and gave me her opinion, whether I wanted it or not. But thank you, Linda. Finally, to the people of Charlotte and 1 Carolina, thank you for allowing myself and Stephanie to get to know you. Many have reached out to let us know you care. We appreciate that. Your Southern hospitality is heartwarming, and we'll always have great and fond memories of our times here with Panthers. So with that, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer them. And if not, thank you.
Ron, how surprised were you that Tepper had called you or wanted to talk to you about this?
I was surprised, just because, I mean, if anything, I thought it would happen at the end of the season, to be honest with you. You know, I know you talked about doing some things differently, and I get that. That's part of the business of owning a football team. And at the end of the day, you know, when you lose football games, when you have a chance to win them, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Ron, yesterday we talked about, you know, you take every loss personally, and
Yep.
you wake up and you kind of just end up here. What was your drive like home yesterday from the stadium?
It was It was, well, first of all, I've never driven home in that kind of traffic, so it was a little disappointing. And then secondly, I was on the phone with Stephanie for the most of the way. And it was a good conversation. You know, we just talked about the things that we want to do going forward. You know, it really honestly didn't hit me. Stephen Drummond asked me, and I appreciate you, Stephen. I really do. Thank you very much. And Ryan, I know you want me to say anything crazy, so I won't. Not yet, at least. It was good. It really was. It wasn't a bad. It was until this morning. Stephen asked me, you know, did you get any sleep? And Stephanie kept trying to tell me to go to sleep and stop moving because I had a lot to think about. I really did. I thought about a lot of those things that happened in 9 seasons. Thought about a lot of the lives that I crossed paths with, the different persons, the different personalities, all the ups, all the downs. So it was interesting. It really was. More this morning than anything else.
I apologize.
That's all right.
Can you go over a couple of your fondest on the field memories, and also can you address what is next for Ron Rivera?
Well, God, I don't know. There's so many really good moments. There really are. I think probably the thing that hit me the most really is when you see the guys have success. You know, it could be something as simple as a player finally understanding a play. You know, something that happens. You know, just there really were so many of them. But I will remember, and I really appreciate the team gave me a painting that or an image of something that they'd put together for me, and it was all about the 2015 team. And I have a picture of the 6 team captains with the NFC Championship trophy. That might be one of my fondest memories.
Ron, when you addressed the team this morning, how did you gather yourself for that? Did you prepare remarks, and what did you say?
I tried to wing it. And it was tough. It was because there's a lot of it really is. There's a lot of good young men in that room. There really are. And I just wanted to make sure they knew how much I appreciated them, how much I believe in them. I wanted to make sure I thanked them. I thanked the coaches and the support staff that were in there. And it was cool. It really was. I mean, it's a great group of young men. And, you know, it's funny. One of the things that I always tell the players is that, you know, the best team has a great sense of family. The best family has a great culture. Within that culture, there's tremendous character. And when you think about that last phrase, there is tremendous character. There's a lot of young men in there that have tremendous character. A lot of guys that fight through a lot of things, a lot of guys that have to deal with a lot of stuff, not just on the football field, but off the football field. And I pointed out guys like Greg Olson, you know, who's dealt with his son's heart situation, and through all that has been a champion on the football field. And I mentioned Eric Reed, whose strong belief and never wavering on that speaks to his tremendous character. And I wanted to remind those players that at the end of the day, when you walk out that door, as I will pretty soon, it's all about your character. And I think that's really important. So I wanted to make sure I talked about that with them.
Ron, we heard kind of a defiance in your voice as you pointed out the 3 consecutive NFC South
Without a
titles.
doubt.
What
It's
is
a
that?
matter of semantics. It's how you look at things. And that's the thing I think everybody got to understand. Stop looking at the negative things and start looking at the positive things. Look at the things that are being built, the things that have been done. Pay tribute to those. I mean, those 3 winning division teams, you know, nobody thought in 2014. Heck, I remember you wrote us off in your article. And that was, in all honesty, I brought it into the meeting room and I told the players, this is your epitaph, or you can change it. And that's what we did. And I told the players, I never stopped believing in that 2014 team. I was fortunate enough to have won 2 NFL Coach of the Year awards. And honestly, the best coaching job I did was in 2014, keeping those guys together, getting those guys to believe in who they are, and then winning. And not just winning, but having a playoff game at home and winning that playoff game. You know, those guys were tremendous that year. And, you know, those are the kind of memories I'll remember, Scott, is stuff like that. Because nobody gave us a chance, and we had to win 4 in a row. So to win 3 consecutive divisions, which has only been done twice in this division, and the second time was just done. We were the first team to do it. And I carry a tremendous amount of pride. You want to ask me why I'm wearing my ring? Because I want to make sure everybody knows that's why I wore it.
Ron, can I follow up on Scott's question?
Sure.
Do you want to
Coach again?
coaching?
Absolutely.
Or you
Absolutely.
want to take some time away? You want to coach right away?
I got 4 weeks off. okay, until the start of the new season. Well, actually, a little bit longer, until February. But my intent is to coach again. You know, I love coaching, and not just coaching because it's about winning football games, but coaching because you have an opportunity to impact young men and people, and that's what I want to do. I want to be able to coach people and impact people and win football games and hopefully win a Super Bowl. You know, somebody want to ask me my biggest regret? My biggest regret is not winning the Super Bowl. I know I stood up in front when I first got the job and told people I was going to win a Super Bowl, and that's my biggest regret as the head coach of this football team, is that we didn't win it. We got there, and we had our chance. We had our opportunity.
You mentioned that coaching is much more than just on the field. It's not about the X's and O's. Every player that I talked to yesterday, whether current or former, didn't mention a single football thing when I talked to them. Jay Stu said the proudest moment, the coolest moment he had with you was when he told you he was having a baby girl and you were so excited.
Yeah.
What does that say to you? What does that mean to you?
I think that's important because, you know, we got to see these young men more than just football players. And that's why I talked about the character in that locker room. You know, because it's young men like Greg Olson and Eric Reed that are going to change this world and to make this world a better place. And I believe that my job is more than about being on the football field and, you know, trying to direct things and X's and O's. And it is about winning, though. It really, truly is, because this is production-based, and I get that part of it. But when you have guys like that, guys that can make an impact, I mean, you want to make sure they're doing things the right way. And that's all I tried to do with these guys. I mean, you know, when I told them, you know, when I walked out that I loved them, it's because I love them for who they are to me. It might be somebody else, something to somebody else, but to me, you know, they're my guys, and I'll always remember that.
Ron, back in 2011, after all the job interviews you had, if I told you you'd be here for 9 years, you would have said.
Really? I really would have. I don't know. You know, it's funny. One of the things that Mr. Richardson asked me in our interview was, you know, how long do you want to be a head coach? I said 8 or 10 years. He said, why only 8? I said, well, I don't know. Maybe after 8, 9, or 10, maybe it's time for a change. But who knows? Maybe that's what this is. But I do know this more so than anything else. I do believe in the way I do things. I do believe in who I am, and I do believe I will get an opportunity, and I will coach again.
Ron, on that point, what's your pitch to the next team owner that you have? You talk about 4 weeks off. Yeah, we hear some of your pitch already, talking about being a team spokesman during tough times, talking about your success. What is your pitch and what you've learned and what you're going to do perhaps differently in your next stanza?
Well, there are a lot of things I would do differently. There really are, but I think I've got the right kind of experience. I mean, I do. I just think that having gone through the things that I've gone through, been through the things that we've been through, been where we've been, it gives me experience. It doesn't mean I'll be better than anybody else, but what it does, it gives me a different perspective. Okay, I've had perspective, and I've told this to the players. You know, I played in this league. I was fortunate enough to play. It doesn't mean I'm going to be a better coach than anybody, but it means I'm a coach that has perspective. Well, you know, I'm a coach that has perspective now. I've been through it. Like I told you guys, you know, at the end of the day, it's production-based. You don't produce, it's time to move on. And so I'll be honest, I'm kind of excited. I really am, you know. I'm really looking forward to a lot of opportunities. I'm looking forward to a little bit of time. I was looking forward to a little bit of rest, but Stephanie already had me doing dishes last night, so that's a little different.
This may be
David
different.
Tippers mentioned analytics and innovative offensive minds. How much do you think this might have to do with you not fitting the mold he was looking for as much as anything?
No. I think at the end of the day, Mr. Tepper wanted to do what he wants to do. He wants to do it his way. He wants to hire his own head coach. That's what football is about. I mean, it is. It's his prerogative. I respect that. He was very upfront, very cordial, and we talked about it. You know, and I'll say this too. You know, before everybody started talking about the analytics of fourth down, I was doing fourth down. One of the things that I really did appreciate was my opportunity to get to know John Madden. You know, Mr. Richardson put me in contact with John Madden, and John Madden mentored me at a time when I needed it. And one of the things that John Madden taught me was to use analytics. Okay, to use the analytics of the fact that I'd been in the league at that point 24 years. Okay, use your experience, draw from your experience. And that's what I did. And that's how I coached. I coached from my experiences, from my practical application of having done it and been part of it. You know, the numbers are there just to help you. At the end of the day, you still got to make the decision. There are certain things that the numbers can't quantify. Okay, they can't quantify injuries, can't quantify the weather. They can't give you a number on whether or not the referee is going to make a good call or a bad call. And they can't talk about momentum. All those numbers there are just to tell you one thing or the other. And at the end of the day, if you make a decision and you lose, you're the one who answers for it, not the numbers. So the truth of the matter is, figures lie and liars figure. You can find a stat to use it for whatever you want. But at the end of the day, it's about the men on the field. It's about the guys that are calling the plays. It's about the execution of things that happen on the field. That's what I look at as far as football is concerned.
Ron, what are you looking for in terms of fit for your next job? If you had a, you're picking the letter, what kind of fit, who do you want to work for? What makes sense for the next version of Ron Rivera?
The challenge. I really do. I really think it's about the challenge more so than anything else. I don't know what the fit will be until you get an opportunity to sit down and talk. I mean, you can look at the rosters, you can look at the ownership, but at the end of the day, it's going to be about the challenge. I got the opportunity here because it was the challenge. People say, well, why was this a good fit? Can't tell you. Really can't tell you why it was a good fit, but I can tell you now. Back then I couldn't. Now I can tell you it was a good fit. I had an owner that had things structured the way he wanted them done. I had a general manager who had shared the same philosophy I did, and that was we had to find a franchise quarterback. We had to protect our franchise quarterback and then put playmakers around him. We were going to play downhill football, and we were going to go from there. So we'll see.
How would you summarize those 9 years or so you spent with Cam? Because you guys were so tied together.
They were great. They really were. Unfortunately, at the end, the injuries caught up to him a little bit, and I think now the uncertainty is going to be ironed out. He'll come back, and we'll see what happens for him. But they were great. I mean, and I can really truly say this. In my 9 years, the young man had been nothing but upfront with me, honest, supportive, caring. I mean, he's been a great guy, and I really did appreciate it.
Spoken with him yet?
When you think
No, I haven't had the opportunity. I did see his tweet. My home social media director, she showed it to me, and so it was kind of cool. She showed me a number of ones that I received from the players, so that was really cool.
I was going to say, all those messages that came out from current players, former players, I'm sure you heard from those in the coaching ranks too. What has all that meant to you in this time?
Well, it meant that I did something right. I've been doing things the right way. I mean, it gives me confidence in what I do and how I do it. I really do appreciate the words I've gotten from my fellow coaches. That's been great. I appreciate the support I've gotten from my former players. I mean, those guys have all been great. And then the current guys. It's been really cool.
away from football field, when you think of Charlotte, the city, and the state of North Carolina, South Carolina, what did you take away from it? What came to people? What comes to mind?
I said at the end, and that is that Southern hospitality. I've told you guys this before. When our house caught fire, we really got a sense of what Southern hospitality meant. One of our neighbors at 5 in the morning opened up his house. His wife got up and cooked breakfast for my family while our house was burning. The neighborhood watch, they kicked all the media folk out who wanted to take pictures and do stuff like that. The Red Cross showed up. I mean, the police, he came in and kept everybody. I mean, it was amazing. And those are the things that I'll always remember. I remember our just meeting the people and being told that, if you ever get invited into the back door, into the kitchen, that means they love you. And that started to happen a lot around here, so that was really cool.
Do you plan on staying here? John Fox stayed here. Do you plan on staying here or at least keeping a home here?
Well, we'll see what happens. It just depends on where things take me. We'll have an opportunity to find out where that will be, but I don't know. I really don't. I mean, we've come to love it. It's been a great city. The community's been tremendous. The 2 states, with 1 Carolina, has been fabulous. It really has. I mean, Stephanie and I have been to Charleston. We've been to Brays Island. We've been to Raleigh. We've been to Wilmington. We've been all over the state, and everywhere we've gone, we've been welcomed. And the folks have been tremendous. And I can't speak enough about the true sense of Southern hospitality.
Ron, did you have any hand in sort of how they, promoted?
Well, Mr. Tepper brought those things up, and I told him I thought, giving Perry the opportunity was really the right move. Here's a guy that's had some experience and just really hadn't got the opportunity, and he's got 4 weeks. And I told the players, give him everything you got for 4 weeks because it's an opportunity, and we want to make sure he makes the most of it. He was trying to figure out what to do on the offensive side, and we talked about it. And I said, hey, I promise you, if you talk to Norv about it, he'd be all for giving Scotty the opportunity. And the thing that you can do is, that have him as the assistant head coach / senior defensive assistant to help, and I think that's cool too, because he's on the edge, he's on the precipice, he's ready, and so I'm excited for those guys. And I told the players, you got 4 weeks to audition, man. Go out and do the best you can.
Is there anything you would have done differently maybe this season that would have changed the tide for where we are today, you feel like?
Keep everybody healthy. I mean, that's the truth of the matter if you look at it. I mean, this to me more was about attrition than this was about anything else. Because if you look at how many different offensive and defensive lines did we start all year? How many different players have we had to bring in that weren't here with us during training camp that are actually contributing right now? So I think that's probably the one thing. That's the only thing. I mean, I wouldn't change anything I've done. I believe in what I do and the way I do it. I just really think that this time attrition caught us. And that to me is really the biggest disappointment I have.
When we're looking back at your tenure as Panthers head coach, what do you want to be remembered for? What would you like your legacy to be?
That we came in and did the best we could. That we were able to help and touch and change some things. And when we leave, hopefully we left it a better place.
What stands out to you most, as you heard from so many players, what stands out to you most about what they've said to you?
Was that they thanked me for the things off the field, not the things on the field. You know, anybody can coach you up, but to help somebody in life, I think that's cool. And so when I've had the guys, you know, that have said, hey, really appreciate you, thank you for the advice on this, that's been worth everything.
Ron, your family was tied so tightly to this organization. Just the opportunity to work with Courtney and how Stephanie was so involved in everything you did here, what did that mean to you?
It meant a lot because, you know, it's funny, I've had a couple people criticize me for having my wife around and my daughter around. And I told the players in there too, I said, I hope you guys understand that I was just trying to be the best example. You know, I wanted Stephanie around because I wanted you to see how you're supposed to be around your wife. I wanted my children around because I wanted the players to see how to be around their children. I think that's important. I mean, we set examples for the people that are around us. You know, whether you're a head coach or you're a fireman or you're a reporter or a teacher, whatever you are, you're supposed to set an example. And that's all I tried to do, is be that example. And that's why I did the things that I did. And that's why it was outstanding that I was able to have my wife and daughter around me, you know, so tight into the football team.
Ron, have you entertained the idea that with your departure and the possibility of Cam's that there could be a reunion maybe somewhere? Are you open to that possibility?
I haven't got that far. I really haven't. And you know, that's, you never know because I'll tell you right now, we saw last year until the Pittsburgh game what a healthy Cam could do.
You mentioned kind of maybe some clarity on his uncertainty. You just mean a return
His
to
health.
health.
His return to health, without a doubt. I think that's the most important thing for the young man because, you know, the frustration is and we all saw it with Andrew Luck, was always being hurt, always rehabbing. You know, I had the same thing with Thomas Davis. A lot of you guys don't know, but after Thomas's third surgery and he was in the middle of it and going through the rehab, and you could see it on his face, and we talked a little bit, and then the following year after he'd come off of a good comeback season, he says, you know, for the first time I'm healthy, man, it feels so good. So, you know, just a guy that goes through the injuries and the rehab year after year after year, that's tough. And so the thing that I'm hoping for Cam and praying for Cam is that, you know, that he's healthy, and when he's healthy, he's through the whole rehab program, that he's ready to roll again.
This is almost the weirdest thing I've ever experienced, because usually when a coach is fired, it's good riddance, bye. Everyone's here, everyone's reached out. It's almost like a I'm sorry type
And that's the truth of the matter is, because, you know, we had an opportunity, and these are circumstances we can't control. I tell the players there's 3 things you control in your life: your attitude, your preparation, your effort. These are some things that we can't. These are things that got out beyond it. And I think the truth is, like I tell you guys, I get it. I understand. I've been in this league long enough. This is my 33rd year in the NFL, and I get it. I know how things are supposed to be, and when things don't happen, you know, you're taken to task. And whether that's, you know, you're sat down and told you got to do this and do this, or you're let go. But I didn't come into this with any false hopes or anything. I came in this being realistic and knowing that at some point and someday, you know, I'll be fired. And that's just the way it is. You very rarely ever see a person leave this game on their own terms. And for me, you know, yesterday when I had the conversation with Mr. Tepper, there was no animosity. You know, he was honest. He was upfront. I appreciated his approach. I thought it was a fair approach because he wanted to do some things with some guys. And instead of having me sit there and have to answer Joe's question every day about, oh, how do you feel about your job prospects? I could, I didn't have to deal with that. So as far as I'm concerned, hey, that's life. That's the way it moves on. And, pretty soon I'll start getting ready for the next chapter because, believe me, I'm pretty excited about it.
Do you wish you could have closed out those last 4 games, though?
I'm sorry?
Do you wish you could have closed out those last 4 games, though?
Only if I knew we were winning for sure. Seriously.
I'm just curious, did you try to talk him out of it, Ron?
A lot, kind of following on what Joe said earlier. How would you describe the last 9 years?
Let's see. We were building the team up. We had a good stretch of 4 out of 5 years. Team was torn down, and I think the team's going to start being rebuilt. There's a good core. The thing about the NFL is each team, for the most part, has the same types of players. But there's a core, that core of about 8 to 10 guys. If you have those 8 to 10 guys in the right positions, you're going to win a lot of football games. If you have your head coach and your quarterback in position, you have an opportunity. The biggest thing that happened in the last 2 years that contributed to this long-term mediocrity for the last 2 seasons was we had no quarterback situation settled. If you have a settled quarterback situation, you're pretty doggone good. Look, our problems really didn't start till when? Till our quarterback got hurt. So at the end of the day, that's why I said hopefully the young man's going to be healthy, and it'll be a good sign for this team. Because you look at the core people they have in place. Look at the running back situation. Look at those young wide receivers. Look at the young tight end. Okay, there's a couple of good young offensive linemen that were drafted this year that have had to play a lot. Now they've had some injuries, but when you have a left tackle, whichever one of those 2 guys it's going to be, that's pretty special. You got Taylor Moton on the other side at right tackle. You've got a center who's a young guy that's learning and growing, and you've got a all-pro right guard. You got pretty good pieces there. And then on the defensive side, you got Luke still in the middle. You got Shaq. For the first time, they could probably have the same starting secondary, which we never had. So the prospects can be pretty good. It's just a matter of time. And so, the issue I have with the long-term mediocrity thing is just the fact that every now and then you've got to reset. I mean, look at Baltimore. Last few years they weren't very, they weren't always in the mix, were they? But look at them now. They had an opportunity to reset. They've got their quarterback. They've got players around them. What Coach Harbaugh's done there's been pretty doggone good. So again, and it's been the same thing in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh model, if you look at that. Every now and then you're going to take a dip. The only anomaly to this whole thing is New England. And that's probably because the best NFL coach is coaching that team and they've got the best NFL quarterback. That's the only anomaly. Everything else, if you look at everybody else, what do you see? You see highs and lows. And it's whether you can survive the lows.
Ron, you talked a lot about your connection with Cam. Luke, what can you say about what it's been like to coach him as a former linebacker and somebody?
Well, the key with Luke is just don't screw it up. I mean, that's how good he is. He's a phenomenal football player. He's a phenomenal young man. I've been blessed to be around him. I've been very fortunate. I've been around 2 Hall of Fame middle linebackers, and Mike Singletary and Brian Urlacher, and I think I've been around the 3rd one. I really do. He's everything you want in a football player. He's everything you want in a young man, and I've been fortunate. Guys like Christian McCaffrey, they don't come along a lot. And when you get guys like that, man, it's cool. I mean, I've been very fortunate. DJ, he's another guy that's got that. Curtis. I mean, there's some guys that have that it factor. So this football team, I think, can be a good football team to come.
Hey, Ron, a lot of guys on staff that you've been with for a long time. When you went to Mr. Tepper's office yesterday and then had to come back and tell them what happened, how did you gather yourself and how did you tell them? What did you say?
I told them, we met in the coaches' meeting room, and I just got in front of them and told them, guys, the owner decided to go in another direction. I did tell them to quit moping because they got work to do, and that he and I talked about certain things, and we talked about Perry giving Perry the opportunity. We talked about Scott having the opportunity. Talked about how Norv was going to handle things, and that I really appreciated them. I mean, it was great. I just I've been very fortunate. I mean, I've had a good staff of guys, and there've been a lot of guys that have been been around me that, and it's interesting because Greg Olson pointed out today that there's only 3 players left from my original team, and I think 4 coaches left from my original staff, and that's it. And so, there's the attrition thing. It is. Couple things just wanted to share with you guys before I left. It didn't match what I was wearing, but I do want to make sure everybody knows that I appreciated, first of all, Jordan, your article, and I thought you ended in a very appropriate way, because I know you guys heard me say this a lot. And then I said my greatest missed opportunity is we didn't win the Super Bowl. And at the end of the day, I just want to make sure you guys all know this too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Ron.